using whether type of power that you have over somebody. I thought that was racism.
No.
Okay. Well, I'll go educate myself, but I swear to God, I thought that's what it was.
No, I mean racism is more than just wielding institutional power over another group of individuals.
Oh, okay. Well, all
Because, like
right.
I said, it would have to change your material conditions, right? Not only for yourself, but other people that look like you, um, within and your structural position within the societal hierarchy that was created for and by white people.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was saying in the beginning, yeah, they did take advantage and, exploit people. I mean, it still happens every now and then, I would say, not as much as it used to be,
What doesn't happen every now? What happens every now and then?
Like, I would say that judicial racism against black folk, I guess.
Happens every now and then.
Yeah, it happens sometimes, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's like a staple in our judicial system. Hey guys, listen, the likes aren't moving. Let's get the likes and shares up. But yeah, no, I would think that I think that's a staple in our judicial system. This idea that that not happening as much or only sometimes is absurd.
I don't know, man, because, like, I had read a study. They had did some statistics. They were
Give me the
saying,
study right now. I'll look it up.
like, all right, so if you search up that, just search up on Google that black man gets sentenced like to 20% higher. I don't even remember. It was like a 20% higher rate or something like that for the same crime, but they didn't take into account like priors, enhancements. Like I just said, they didn't take into account any of that. They just
So you don't think that they use the same calculations for black people? Are you saying that the judges aren't using the same calculations?
no. I'm saying the study didn't take into account the same calculations. They just said, oh well, they got charged with the same crime, but they got sentenced
Well,
at a different.
if I can't look up the study, then I can't see, you know what I'm saying, the methods by which the study was conducted, or if they took into account priors. I would argue that any academic study, right, like any scientific study into something as pervasive as this within our society, within you know what I'm saying, American society, absolutely would take into account if those people's prior records were similarly considered.
Hey,
Absolutely.
search it up. Search it up. Hey, just search
Bro,
up
I
what I
don't know
told you.
what to search up. You have to give me a
I
title or
told
something
you.
more than
I don't know the title. I just told you. Search up. Black man gets sentenced to a rate 20% higher than white man in the judicial system. Search that up. Or longer sentences, or something like that.
do you know who did the study? Black men's
No, I
sentences
can't remember.
20% longer than white men's for similar crimes.
Yeah.
Black male offenders received sentences on average 19.1% longer than those of similarly situated white male offenders. This commission also factored in offenders' criminal histories.
What? I swear to God it didn't. I swear to God. I thought it didn't. Well, shit.
The commission also factored in offenders' criminal histories to look at whether violence in offenders' past could account for the racial disparities, and found that it did not. Looking at 2016, the only year for which such data was available, the commission found that after controlling for criminal history, black men still received 20.4% longer sentences than did white men.
Jesus Christ. I swear to God, I read it wrong, but damn. Well, that's fucked up. But yeah, I appreciate you for having me then.
No problem, Fred. Have a good one. All right, guys, come on. Let's tap that screen. Let's share out the live. Let's get those numbers up. We still got 164 left in our daily goal. Yeah, that was too easy. I did see quite a few comments of people trying to explain to me that black people can in fact be racist. I think that it's important that we unpack first what racism is, so that we can, have this conversation. Yeah, if you disagree, no yapping in the chat. They're literally just going to mute you, and you guys should know that by now. Most of you guys have been around enough to know this. Hey Kelly, thank you for the $5 Venmo. I appreciate you. Let's tap that screen. Yeah, if Joe's still yapping, just mute him. I don't have any desire, to try to read people's comments. I really don't. Not interested. Can everyone be bigoted? Sure. Yeah. Because being a bigot doesn't necessarily only have to do with race. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, anybody can be a bigot because it's not solely dependent on race. There's many forms of bigotry. Hi again, Mikey. Ella B, good morning. How are you? Have you had some water and said something kind about yourself?
No, but I will. I just woke up, but I was in the chat yapping, so I figured I'd come up here and
Sure.
ask you about this first point. Black people can't be racist.
Correct.
So, okay, as a people, Black people don't have the power or a system of racism that furthers them and oppresses another group of people. Does that also mean that like individual Black people can't be racist?
Yeah, individually, black people cannot be racist.
Okay, so people
What
like
could I
Candace
do to
Owens.
what could I say or do to a white person that'll change their material conditions? In No, I'm not a doctor. Would change a white person's material conditions or their placement within the perceived hierarchical structure.
Of course. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Black people being racist on behalf of the system that we have today.
Being racist to other black people?
Yeah.
They could have like internalized anti-blackness or internalized, racially biased beliefs. But I mean, and yes, black people can obviously participate, in that aspect of racism that benefits the current system. I don't disagree with that.
But
Just
they're
the same way, the same way that women can, participate in misogyny or the patriarchal structures that exist in that very same vein.
and so but we don't call those people racist.
Nah, we wouldn't call them racist. I mean, you don't call women misogynist, do you?
No, I don't usually call them misogynist. But
There you
okay,
go.
this is the thing though. Like, what about when Black people? I can say yes, internalize racism. They're like suffering for racism. But what about when they're racist to other people of color who are not Black?
That wouldn't be
Is-
racist. That would be xenophobia or, bigotry, depending on, where they're from. Anti-Semitism, Russophobia, if they're like the person was from Russia. Like it would be a vast array of things, but it still wouldn't be racism.
There's just something about that doesn't make sense to me because it's like if
Why
in
doesn't it make
any
sense?
other context it's racism, but when it's people of color,
It's not in any other context.
well, okay, okay, you're right, okay.
Like if we're
No,
being
what I
intellectually
mean,
honest, it's not in
what
any
I
other
mean about
context.
any
It's
other
in a specific
context,
context.
when it's an Asian person or when it's another person of color towards other people of color, I don't see people saying they can't be racist.
Like, who are we speaking about specifically?
I don't have a specific person in mind.
No, like a specific group of people. You said Asian peoples.
Oh, I said like Asian people or other
Gotcha.
people of color.
But Asian, you realize Asian people can be black, Asian people can be white, they
Okay.
can be. Um,
I, I mean the ethnic, like the ethnicities associated with people who are Asian,
you
like
talk okay,
ethnically.
so races specifically that are Asian, not people from Asiatic countries.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And you think that they can't participate in racism?
No, I think they can. I think they do.
Yeah. But what does this say? Does it say Asian people can't be racist, or
No,
does it say black
I'm
people
trying to
can't be racist?
understand the material difference.
The material difference, right, is there's a social hierarchical structure that, you know what I'm saying, places black people at the bottom of said social hierarchy, right?
Mm.
Right? And then it places white people at the top of said social hierarchy.
Mhm.
Right. So, like all of the structures, the systems, the institutions, the ideologies by which that uphold this social hierarchy, right? That specific structure, right, are
Mhm.
racism.
Mhm.
It's all
Of
of those
course.
things in between, right, that uphold this structure are in fact the racism. Now, like, would it wouldn't be odd, right, that people, especially in the United States, we're working in the framework of the United States because that's where we live, right? It wouldn't be odd that somebody working within the framework of the United States, uh, like who happens to be Asian, wouldn't be able to participate in that structure that's opposing to specifically black people, because oftentimes, especially in our society, we see Asian people, as the model minority.
Hmm. Right, but black people get placed in that positioning as well.
And model
If we
minority statuses,
if we look at Clarence
you
Thomas,
would be
or
talking about an individual and not a group.
of course, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I asked you. The first thing I asked you is, can individual black people be racist?
No.
So Candace Owens, Clarence Thomas, Tommy Sotomayor, they're not racist.
Mm-mm. Do they have internalized anti-blackness? Sure. Did they actively participate in racism, or racist ideologies that are harmful to other black people? Absolutely. However, they are not practicing racism. The same way I just asked you about, would you call a woman who upholds the patriarchy and has internalized misogynistic views a misogynist?
There are only two people in that situation, though. Well, not two. That's
That's
wrong.
not true.
That's. I mean, I'm ignoring myself. I'm queer, so it's like. But to be honest, when me and my friends talk about this, we think of all people who are being oppressed by patriarchy as women.
Hmm.
So in that there's a binary, but in this system we have like a caste system where there's these different levels. And
Right.
so maybe I'm getting it. I understand, like, maybe it's anti-blackness that places black people at the bottom, so it doesn't even matter their social political location.
Hmm.
But I don't. How are you defining what does it mean to be a racist? Like, and what is that relationship to how
A
you're defining
racist is
it?
somebody who practices racism.
Yeah. Okay. Then how are you defining racism?
Sorry, I explained it to you. So, race, right,
Uh,
is this arbitrary structure, this hierarchical structure that was created by white people so that they had the justification to enslave Africans and eradicate indigenous people literally across the globe, right? That's why they created it, to justify those very things. Now, racism is all of the things that they have implemented, right? Structurally, systemically, institutionally, ideologically, sociologically, anthropologically, like within not only the American society, but globally, that uphold that structure, that uphold that hierarchy. Now, when we're looking at this, you know what I'm saying, from an objective standpoint, the people that they were targeting primarily in the creation of said institution were black people and indigenous people. And the people who are still harmed by said system are black people and indigenous cultures.
Mhm. Hmm. Hmm. I mean, what I hear you saying is like racism is a practice of whiteness.
Of upholding the ideas of whiteness. Yeah.
But I mean, not just well, if we say upholding,
What's
right?
up,
We're
bro?
saying that these people are upholding racist ideas and racism as black people. And I do see them as victims. I see them as victims of anti-blackness.
Hmm.
And like this is their response to that. But I don't know. I just sometimes I feel like I
Do
want to
you
call them
want white
racist.
people to be oppressed?
What?
I said,
I'm talking about black people being racist or anti-black to other people of color. I have not mentioned white people
to other
and
people of color.
and them
So
being
like
oppressed.
if I was being like if I was being a bigot towards like Asian people, you could call me xenophobic, right?
I just wonder about like why do what happens when we use a different word? Like what is the to call it xenophobia instead of calling it racism?
Because we're not upholding the institutional structures that place white people at the top of a social hierarchy.
But I
That's
think
not what we're doing.
but Clarence Thomas isn't doing that.
Huh?
Clarence Thomas isn't upholding the
Okay,
systems.
again, so if a woman, right, has internalized misogyny and upholds the aspects of the patriarchy, do you call them a misogynist?
I call them misogynistic. I say that they're male identified. I say, do I say like they are a misogynist?
Yeah, we don't
No.
typically identify women as misogynists, no. Even if they have internalized misogyny.
You're right. I do think about that. Well, I'm gonna have to think about it more. Thank
Because
you.
misogyny literally would end. What is misogyny? If we were going to define it, what is misogyny?
Misogyny is the systemic hatred of women.
Okay, got you. So, do you think that these women who uphold misogynistic ideas or participate in the patriarchy, do you think that they hate women?
Yes.
Do you think that that women hate other women?
Yes.
Hmm.
I think they hate themselves. I think they hate women. Yes. I think they're socialized to hate women.
Now,
Just
I could
like
see
men
that having
do.
internalized self hate. Yeah, I could understand that. So you agree that they hate all other women?
Maybe not all, but they hate women like they hate women. Yeah, they hate women. Maybe not every single one, but yes, when they think about women, what they do, what they wear, they feel hatred.
Gotcha. I hear you. I mean, I don't think that we would. I honestly don't think that we would label women as misogynists, though. Personally, um,
I would say they're misogynistic though,
yeah, I would
which
say
I
that they have internalized misogyny, or they hold misogynistic views, that they uphold the patriarchy. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I don't think that we would label them, as misogynists. I mean, like I said, in the same way that we wouldn't label somebody who is anti-black, who happens to be a black person, who has anti-black views and opinions, um, a racist.
Mhm. Okay. You know, I have to be able to explain it. Like I have believed black people can't be racist for most of my life.
Hmm.
And then when I went to explain it, I and someone asked me, "Is Candace Owens racist?" I could not explain it.
Yeah.
Like what her individual behavior, like just analyzing her
Is
as
she
a.
anti-black? Absolutely. Is she a
Mhm.
bigot? 1,000%. But even she holds no institutional or structural power whatsoever. Not even in the black community, not even with white people, because as soon as they are done with her, they cast her aside. And the same
Of
thing would happen to
course.
Clarence Thomas, and the same thing would happen to any other black person who attempted to participate in the system in any meaningful manner.
But the spreading of racist ideas is racism.
No, it's not.
I mean, that's what Ibram Kendi says.
That's fine. And there,
I mean, and to be honest, I disagree with him. But like, I think there are ways that people have defined racism that fit some of the behaviors of what people who have internalized racism do. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, okay, how what is the what do y'all call it, the symmetry breaker?
yeah.
Is it just that they're black? Is it just that they will always be victims of racism, even the practices and behaviors of their own, so that they can never actually be racist?
So here's the issue, right? Like here's the sociological issue that's presented. If you're say if we were to say, oh well, black people, you know what I'm saying, can black people can be racist to other black people, right? Within their own group. Oh, okay, well they can be racist to other black people by upholding these racial structures, or you know what I'm saying, like leaning into white supremacy, or you know, participating in anti-blackness, right? Now we're telling, and this is what we see regularly, and we see this with people like Candace Owens and people like Clarence Thomas and what's his name, Tim Scott and shit like that, right? Is that anytime we hear a black person say within this structure, this structural hierarchy that exists, that they don't agree with something that the vast majority of black people are saying, then it no longer exists, you know what I'm saying, in terms of white America or whiteness as a global phenomena. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. So
Yeah.
it's their
And so if we say, oh well, black people can be racist to other black people, then well, if they can be racist to other black people, then they can be racist in general, which is not the case.
what does in general mean?
To white people and so on and so forth.
White people can experience racism.
Hmm.
When people
Did you
put
say
this
white
on their
people can experience racism?
can't, can't,
Okay.
can't.
Then that's
That's
the
the thing.
point I'm trying to make.
But that's a different point than black people can't be racist. I'm interested in what's on the screen. White people cannot experience racism.
Agreed. 1000%.
Thousand. Okay. Well, thank you for explaining it to me. I do feel like I moved forward and maybe getting it a little bit. Thank you for whoever gifted me. Someone said in the comments, I said patriarchy is binary. No,
Yeah,
I said
I thought that is what you were saying, but I wasn't certain.
no. I was saying that as a class,
Mm-hmm.
people as a class, if we look at if the same way we have a caste system, we've got these different levels. We got honorary whites. We've got people who
Honorary
are
white. What's an honorary
yeah.
white?
Asians are honorary whites. Like you've got people
Oh,
who
gotcha.
have
Yeah, okay.
right. We've got people who have petitioned to be a part of whiteness. People who've been expanded and taken out of whiteness,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because there are these different classes that while of course there are different genders, there are as many genders as there are people, there are classes. And the classes are binary.
Right.
Everybody who fails, even people who identify as men, who fail at masculinity, who fail at are classed as women. That's why I was saying it's binary.
Within the patriarchal structure.
Yeah, within the patriarchal.
Sean, feel free to come up and have this conversation. I think that it's a great conversation to be had.
Mhm. Yeah, but that's all I had to say.
What is so you're talking from the male gaze failing at masculinity, or being seen as a failure at masculinity? Is that what you're saying?
No, not individual people seeing. I'm saying that there's like, if you think about it like a contract,
What?
and who are what?
Here's my issue, right? Here's my issue, and I'm always going to look at things through a sociological lens. How do we define masculinity in any real measurable way? How do we define that? Individually or as a society? How is that defined? Because it's ever evolving, and I think masculinity can only truly be determined by the person in the manner in which they see is suitable to them. Because all we're talking about is essentially affirming one's sense of self.
Right. I think that's masculine on the individual level.
Okay, on a
I
societal
mean
level,
that
how does masculinity
I
define?
mean I'm talking about when I mention masculinity, I'm talking about like based on who has power, who has resources, who has control over others, who gets to make decisions about how other people's lives go. I'm not talking about how people feel about themselves or what type of behaviors that they think fit some type of like identity that they have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess to a point. I
Because
really like.
like if you because
I'm trying to
I don't
unpack.
want to
I'm gonna
use
let you and Sean engage, and I'm gonna try to
um,
unpack this failing at
I said
masculinity.
that because I don't like to use binary terms. So failing at masculinity, right? You could say that in a bunch of different
Thank
ways.
you,
But
Andrea, for the $25
I'm
cash
using
app.
that word specifically to not use man or woman or male or female because I'm talking about people who fail at masculinity that are like outside of those terms.
I don't know what it means to fail at something if we cannot define it.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm saying I'm saying that it's binary between men who are given these resources and power to control others, and everybody else is classed as women. They have less power. They are controlled by others. They are if there's a contract
Oh,
that
so you're talking about the patriarchy
yes,
specifically, not
yes,
masculinity.
not masculinity as
Okay.
like
Okay.
a
Now
people's
I'm
identities.
tracking. Now I'm
Right,
tracking.
right.
Yeah. So you're talking about failing at and within the confines of the patriarchy, not at masculinity. Now I understand. Okay, Sean, go ahead. And good morning. Have you had some water and said something kind about yourself?
Yeah, I did. I gotta get some more water. I ran out. Um, I don't understand what we're talking about. I don't understand what you mean by binary. Like, what do you mean by patriarchy is binary?
That there are two classes of people under patriarchy. Like there's a contract where there are women, and those people are expected to serve and be controlled and have less power over their lives. And there are the people who sign the contract to put them in that position, and they have power and control over them. That's what I mean.
So those are the only two classes you believe that there are under patriarchy?
No, I think we have other systems that patriarchy has created. But when we were talking specifically about
Yeah,
gender and misogyny.
I'm specifically talking about the patriarchy, gender, and misogyny. You think those are the only two classes in patriarchy?
If we're isolating it, yes.
Okay. So then, what about the leadership within patriarchy?
The leadership is white, rich men.
Cool, excellent. So then, what about black poor men?
Right, their class is women.
So black poor men are classed as women.
Yes.
Two black poor men.
Say that one more time.
So black poor men are classified as women to black poor men.
No, not to black. Not
No. So when black poor men implement patriarchal violence onto women, they're classified as women. What are we talking about?
no. They want the power of white men, so they
So then they're
enact the
not.
same behaviors as white men.
So then they're not women.
They're not women. I'm not. I'm saying as a class,
Yeah, as a class, they're not women.
not in reality. I'm talking about in an ideological
Yes.
understanding of patriarchy, who is controlled
Right.
by the
Exactly.
people at the top. Black men are also controlled by the white men with power. Now,
So
if
then
we
black
look at the
men would just be a
relationships,
different class of men. Like it would just be another class of men.
I don't think black men are classed as men.
Okay, so they don't implement patriarchal harm to black women?
I think they harm black women, of course. And
Not
they
patriarchally? It's not patriarchal harm though?
yeah, it's patriarchal harm, but they don't have,
So then,
in the same way that we're saying black people can't be racist because they don't have power, right? Black men don't have power over the patriarchy. They don't weaponize the
that's
patriarchy
fine.
meant for white men. They they uh
So
they
what you're
enact they
saying is,
use the same behaviors
okay, excellent,
because they
awesome.
want the same power, but they
Okay,
don't have
excellent,
it.
awesome. Right, excellent, awesome. So then when black men implement patriarchal violence towards black women, it's not patriarchal violence. That's what you're saying. Because they don't have power in the patriarchy, right? That's what you're saying. I think we need to think about the shit that we say before we say shit, bro. Like
I
this
have
shit is not actually
ADHD, so I
harmful.
speak out
Like
loud and I
it's
think it.
actually.
So please don't be ableist and tell me I need
I'm
to
not being
think about.
ableist at
You
all.
are,
I'm
you
not. I'm
are,
not.
and
You can
I
say
do
that.
believe the things that
You,
I'm saying, whether
okay,
you agree
excellent.
or understand what I'm saying or
You
not.
don't. You can't
Look,
even explain the things
I
you're
am
saying. So I know
explaining
you
it.
don't. No, you're not. So do
Black
black
men
men
are
implement
classed as
patriarchal harm
women.
to black women? Yes or no?
In reality, they are not women.
I
They
reject that.
act as
Do black
men.
Hold on.
men?
In
Can I
Hold on.
interject for
Hold
just a
on.
second, folks? Can I
No,
interject for just a second? So I just want to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that this is really important aspect of this conversation. So, like, black men such as myself, who happen to be fair skinned, have light color eyes, might be considered by some to be conventionally attractive, or can operate, you know what I'm saying, in a vastly different manner than somebody who may happen to be dark skinned and not well educated or not considered conventionally attractive, and so on and so forth. So I reject the fact that we can say all black men, you know, are you know, not classified as men within this society, especially, you know, ones that have held, um, uh, power in various aspects of society, especially when they have power over black women, black children, in certain aspects, women as a whole, in many aspects, women as a whole, and indigenous women and indigenous children, and so on and so forth. I just think that it's a little bit too self-deprecating for me, and I don't think that institutionally it tracks.
I, I'm gonna say something here, and I think we really need to think about the shit that we're saying before we start to say it, and I think we need to understand intersectionality on a deeper scale than just like reading one bell hooks novel, right?
Oh
This
my
the
god.
idea of black men not being able to perpetuate patriarchal harm because they're black
I
throws
didn't say
away.
that.
Yes, you did. You said black men
No,
don't have
you're
power
assuming
within the
that's what I
system.
mean.
Wait,
Well,
no,
hold
You're
on.
no,
Can we
that's not
talk
what you
it one
assuming
at
said.
a time, guys? Can
you're
we talk one
What
at a
you
time?
said.
Hold on.
assuming
Hey, guys,
you're
guys.
assuming because of what
Ella
I
B,
said
Ella
about
B,
men.
Ella
All right,
B,
go
my
ahead.
friend. Can we allow Sean to finish? And once she's done, then you can speak. The over talking is fucking with my autism bad. So please go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, it's just I know I'm not crazy. It's what was said. It was what was said. Black men do not have any power within a white patriarchal structure. That was what was said. So then when I asked and put to scrutiny that thought process of black men implementing patriarchal harm on black women, the question could not be answered. Thus for it's not a real statement. These are not real thought processes. Like, let's be serious here. If we're going to talk about the intersectionalities of oppression, the reason, let me just dead this in the water real quick. The reason why black people cannot be racist is because there's no metric in which black people can implement racism, even on other black people, because racism is a system. Racism literally means race system, and that race system means white supremacy. The white supremacy that black people would be instilling upon other black people would just be anti-blackness. And sure, you could say it's upholding the structure or whatever, but black people can't go through and do anything systemically or structurally to other black people. Even black owned banks are owned by white people and have been given capital by white people. There is no metric in which black people can actually implement anything sustainable to other black people on the basis of race, because black people are at the lower end of the hierarchy, the lowest end of the hierarchy on race. That's the reason as to why. When it comes to patriarchy, if a black man is still a man, he can still implement systemic and structural harm towards women. That's why black men are a different class than white men. You get that now?
Of course, I agree with you about what you said about Black people and not having systemic power. I don't need that explained to me. I did not come up here to say that Black people are systemically racist towards any other group. What you said about Black men being able to have systemic power, I don't think, yes, it intra-racially they have power because materially they are men. I was speaking ideologically, they are classed as women, right? I have made that distinction multiple times. They are men. They do the practices of patriarchy in their own communities because they want patriarchal power. Now, I paused to answer your question, and you assumed that that's because I wasn't thinking, that's because I've never thought about this, and that's because I'm just saying things. No, I stopped to think about what you said, and then you made all these assumptions about my inability or a non-understanding of intersectionality. And you can have that if that's how you want to engage. That's fine. Like I said, I haven't had water or said something kind about myself, so I'm just going to gracefully bow out because I agree with what you're saying. And like I said, I was talking ideologically, not materially. Obviously, Black men hold power over other groups intra-racially, but not systemically. But if that doesn't make sense, that's fine.
I
That is
just think that language, right, when having these conversations, right, especially when we're like we're acting in spaces of liberation or or decolonization or or any of these like social justice spaces. I think that language is probably like some of the most important aspects of what it is that we do. And Ellaby, I think that I want to believe that you have all the best intentions. I just think that sociological harm can be caused when we blur these lines in terms of the intersectional um, paradigm, right? Because we're saying on the one hand, like, yes, they do hold this power, but only within the black community. But that's not true, because black men hold this power, you know what I'm saying, in terms of disabled people, in terms of indigenous people, in terms of women, in terms of like gender identities, trans or otherwise, right? Or in terms of like sexual identities. And so like you're saying, okay, yeah, you can cause violence in all of the aspects of all of these people's lives, just not white men. And so because you can't do it to white men, you're classified as a woman, which kind of like takes away from their culpability, like
Again,
removes culpability from black men.
I we're mixing ideological the ideological classification and the material harm that's happening.
There is
Right?
no ideological classification.
You're talking about the material harm that's happening to other people who are also oppressed, and I was talking about ideologically they are classed as women.
By whom?
It,
White men specifically?
yes, under patriarchy, I was talking about white men specifically. I didn't say that black women class, or the first question I was asked was, do black men classify themselves as that way? No.
So by white men specifically, black men are classified as women.
Wait, but
Yes.
I'm just like slightly confused. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Kiara, and then Bone, go ahead.
Yeah. So, like, speaking of like intersectionality, do you think that when we talk about like certain categories, for example, if we talk about the category black, or if we talk about the category being poor versus rich, men versus women, do you think that those would intersect with like others? So, white men intersecting with black men because they're fitting in the same gender category and therefore being part of like a system.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Well, so for example, Sean is a black woman. I'm a white woman. So we're intersecting in the sense that we understand the concept of being a woman. But I wouldn't understand, obviously, the concept of being black because I'm white.
Yes, I understand. I understand that. That is
Okay.
true.
So I think I just personally, how I comprehend it is that the white men would still intersect with the black men in the man aspect.
Especially if they're Christian and able-bodied and have the same access to financial resources. I mean, like I could go on and on and on and on, right? So then
We're talking materially. I was talking ideologically.
yeah, but okay, how do you if these ideological aspects don't change, you know what I'm saying, any sociological aspects of how we operated as a society, and they don't and they don't change, they don't alter anybody's material conditions in any real form, then what weight do they hold is where I'm at now.
I'm a materialist, so it doesn't hold any weight because it just it adjusts ideologically, just under the contract of patriarchy.
Okay, I
How
want
these
Bone to
people
go, and
are.
then Sean, you can reply. Go ahead, Bone.
Okay, so let me put the Legos together real quick. So ideologically, the white man sees everybody else as a woman. Also, materially, that doesn't apply at all for the actual harm that's caused to people. Also, you're a materialist, and it it's just an ideological idea. Where did the hypothesis come from? I'm genuinely asking.
Mhm. Where did the hypothesis come from? So there's the racial contract, and it was based off of a book that I've never read, but it was called. But it's that same vein. It was like written about patriarchy. It was called a contract, and so there are the people who write the contract. Those are the signifiers, and then there are the people who are signified. The people who are the people they are writing about the contract.
What physical contract was written that we
That
signed to be?
we are not we are the signified.
Okay, so this is
We are.
a
Okay,
this
so
is
can I?
the racial contract. The racial contract was written by a Jamaican philosopher, I guess is what he called. They would
Yeah,
call him.
I've actually read it, John.
Okay.
Yeah, I read it a while ago.
But I'm saying that there is a contract for patriarchy particular to gender. It might be called the gender contract. I'm not sure.
Well,
And that only certain people are classified as men, and
yes,
those people do not include Black men.
yes, I read that, and I get that. And you're saying you're a materialist, and that this is just an ideological concept
Yes.
that you ascribe to despite not having read the book.
No,
You
it's
said you
not
didn't
that
read
I
the book.
ascribe to it. They asked me whether I think women are misogynistic, and I said, well, there's only really two classes.
Yes, I gathered all that. So for you to say there's only really two classes, and to say that's what it is, doesn't that mean you subscribe to it?
Yes, but that doesn't mean I think materially there are only two
I got
groups.
I got that. I'm not trying to be silly, but I didn't
Okay,
ask.
what do you,
I
I don't
expressly
understand
said
about
that
that.
materially you think differently. So
Yes.
can we all do a favor? And I'm not a woman in any way, shape, or form. Okay, I'm as straight gets. Believe me, it's been tested. And here's the thing: all of that ideological thinking is nothing. It's nothing. And I'm not saying this to be silly, but can we please just throw that garbage away? Just throw it away. As someone who worked in a particular field that had a lot to do with finding men who systematically and systemically did harm and supported each other doing harm, and then after going and finding them, watching more men make sure that they don't get even close to the punishment they should receive, despite them sending me to other countries to find these men. And I'm talking about everything from unaliving to the worst type of essay, to everything. Sitting in on the interviews, having multiple people thank me for being there to grab this person before they were unalive, at the same time expressly afraid of me at the same time. I'm talking Black men in other countries because they were on military bases, because they were stationed over there. So all of this ideological idea that men are considered women by white men and all this other Black men and everybody else but them, it's a wonderful idea. Actually, it's a horrible idea in my opinion. And as I said, I've actually read the book. I'm not even going to get into it because there's a lot of that book that gets on my damn nerves. But we're talking about real harm to real people, not an ideal. And that type of ideology doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help anything. Matter of fact, it hinders it, and it goes right back to what Jones says about blurring these lines to have these conversations that don't move anybody forward in any way, shape, or form. And I'm not saying this to be mean. It's a disservice. To me, it's diminishing. It's meaningless. That ideology is absolutely meaningless to those who are walking through their life afraid of men.
I am one of those people, right? I
Yeah,
am one of those people.
yeah.
So like I can understand what you're saying, right? Like that kind of comment is immediately flagged, because how can Black men who do this harm not be classed as men, right? Like when they act in this way, when they're intra communally put in this position to do this level of harm, like yes, I can hold that. And it's like and the idea of them being classed as women only matters in this contract. It only matters ideologically. It only matters under this reading of patriarchy.
under your reading of patriarchy? Because none of us here agree with that read at all, any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
And
I
you,
do. I
and
would
you said
say
and you said from a book that you didn't even read.
no. I said the racial contract. I've read the racial contract.
Okay, I'm good. I'm good. This is just a circle.
It is.
It's a loopy loop of you're going to be where you are. And as far as we are concerned, none of that actually matters to the actual things that happen to people.
I just agreed with you. What do you mean I'm going to be where I am?
You still believe that contract, right? That idea, right? You sign to that. You co-sign that ideology, right?
I'm ambivalent.
Yeah, I can't be ambivalent about stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. So
No, I said I haven't read The Woman Contract or whatever that book is called.
yeah, I'm good, Sean. Sean, I'm good. Come on in, fam.
All right. So again, my question still stands. Like, what exactly are we talking about? Like, when you're talking about ideological, I just want to say this: there's no such thing as like ideology outside of material means. It's just a failed theory at that point. So, like, to say like we're talking purely on an ideological level, it would just mean that whatever
Sean,
ideology
they
that was
can't
written
hear
down
you.
in philosophical.
Sean,
Okay.
can you hear me? They
I
can't hear you.
I can hear her.
Yeah, I think the people on the panel can hear, but they're saying that they were muted.
I'm not muted.
Can you, Sean, babe, can you swipe out and come back?
Sure.
There you go. I think it's good now, no?
Yeah, I can hear. I can hear.
Okay, the chat can't. Can y'all hear me on the panel really quick? Okay, they can hear you now, babe. Go ahead.
Okay. So there's no such thing as an ideological lens outside of a materialistic lens. Like philosophy that is written that does not take into account like material reality is just a failed theory, period. There's no other thing else to call it. So when you say like, oh yeah, like white men don't view this or white men don't do that or whatever, this, that, and the other, just a failed theory by white men. That's all it is. So if we're talking about on like an idealistic lens, that's different than an ideological lens. And sure, we can talk about that. I could also talk about how I have a unicorn in my top drawer, right? But I'm not talking about that. We're talking about actual harm that bestows people. Like when we're talking about racism, we're talking about harm that bestows people of color due to the white supremacist power structure. When we're talking about patriarchy, we're talking about the harm that bestows anything that does not fall into like modern society, whatever that modern society declares as masculine enough. So like to say that there's only two classes, it goes to my question and the scrutiny, like your argument does not hold up to scrutiny, even in an ideological lens. Because when it comes to the idea of utilizing patriarchal violence, white men utilize black men to implement patriarchal violence to other women. So like, what are we talking about for real?
White men also use women to uphold
To uphold
patriarchy.
white supremacy, absolutely, 100%.
So what's okay? You said that the distinction for black men was because they are used to uphold violence against women, but women are also used to uphold violence against women.
Okay, what does that mean?
How
How does that defend your idea of a patriarchal binary?
it doesn't. I was asking what
Exactly. So then what are we talking about? Like we're talking about
I
the
said that because I was asking you what the distinction was. You said that. How is that a point against what I'm saying? You're
because there would
saying
still be
black men are
different classes.
positioned in this particular way. And I said, well, women are also positioned in that particular way, and they're still part of this class.
Yeah, they're still part of the women class. Like, it doesn't. It just shows that there would be different classes underneath that patriarchal structure. Like, it would show that white women would be a different class due to their race power and their proximity to white men than it would be to even black men. But black men upholding those patriarchal structures in the black community, like, due to the white man. Like, there's literally a speech. Steve Bannon said by the year 2024, he'll have 50% of black men voting for Republicans. Do you not think that he was utilizing patriarchal structures? Do you think he went to black men and said, hey, yo, I'm a white supremacist. Vote for the person I want you to vote for? What do you think he utilized? Like, answer that question honestly. It's not a rhetorical question.
Of course he's utilizing patriarchy, but
Right.
but that's the first thing I said when I said about patriarchy and there being two classes. As I said, one is used, one is controlled, one has power to control the system, and one does not, right? They are the one being controlled. And now you're saying that black men are being controlled by white men.
I'm talking
Right?
about the hierarchical structure.
You're saying white men are using black men. And that's what I was saying.
Okay, excellent. So
Yeah, they're appealing to you know what I'm saying, like black men's desire, you know what I'm saying, to wield those same oppressive powers against the rest of women in society.
wait, hold on. Let me.
Which I also said.
Can we just do this? Is there a difference between racial power structures and patriarchal power structures?
Only when you're trying to analyze them, not in reality.
Not in reality. So black men have no power structure within the black community.
They have
Like,
the power.
There's no
They have the-
patriarchal power structure within the black community. Gay kids in the black community don't get kicked
What?
out of their houses. Trans people don't unalive faster in black communities. There's no patriarchal structure in black communities.
I think that what I said means something different to you than it does to me.
Explain what it is that you mean by what
I
you
don't
say.
understand the ideological framework. I don't.
There is
I
no ideological framework. Like, just explain what it is that you mean. You said that only when you're trying to analyze, right? So, okay, excellent. So then there is no patriarchal structure in the black community.
No, that's not what I was saying.
So then there is a patriarchal structure in the black
Maybe I
community.
didn't understand your question because I was saying that there's only one. There's only white supremacist hetero patriarchy. They're not separate. That's what I was saying. That we can analyze them separately, patriarchy, system of white supremacy, but there's only one.
Is there a
Now
difference
okay,
between
go ahead.
white supremacist power structure and the race system and patriarchal power structures and the sex system? Is there a difference? Yes, it's
No,
a yes.
they're
Okay, so
one
so then what
system.
you're saying that is black men in the black community don't have any power.
They use the power of patriarchy that's already in the system that it supports white supremacy and only serves white people.
So then black men don't have any power in the black community.
No,
So
This isn't
black,
hard. Like, this isn't hard. If we know intersectionality and we've read books on intersectionality, this isn't a hard answer. This
I'm
isn't even a
saying
hard
yes.
question.
They use the power that
Okay,
has
so then
trickled
how
down
can
from
black
white
men?
supremacy.
Okay, excellent. So then how can black men have power and also not have power at the same time? How can P not be like P and not P, right? That's what you're doing right now. I need you to explain
They're
the
only
reason as to
using
why.
the power. They're only using the power that they're able to grasp by
What's
participating
the
in white
power?
supremacy.
Wait, if there's no
What's the
difference in the
power?
power structures, then black men don't have any racial power. So
They don't
if
have
there's
any
no
racial
difference
power.
in the power structures, then how can black men have any power whatsoever?
Because they're positioned differently. They have a different social
Well,
position
then
that's
there would need to be a
closest to
different
white.
power structure.
I,
may I? please.
Are you familiar with the term white supremacist heteropatriarchy?
Yes, I'm familiar with the term white supremacist heteropatriarchy.
You don't you
You're not
disagree with
explaining.
you wait you disagree with the understanding that that there's a white patriarchy that controls all of these systems?
Oh my God. Is there a difference between racial power structures and sexist power structures? This isn't a hardball question. This is not a hardball question. This is very day one stuff.
I don't think so. No, I think
Okay,
it's one
excellent. So then black men don't have any power within the black community.
No, I think they do.
Okay, then there is a difference in power structure because black men don't have any racial power. Do you see how this works? Do you see how intersectionality works?
So I just want to
No,
see.
I'm saying-
Hold on
I
one
think
second.
that-
Hold on one second. I just want to read something really quickly. So Mills argues in this book that one of the most influential political theories, the social contract, is instead a racial contract because it does not apply to all people, but only to those who count as white people. The social contract then is a contract for maintaining white racial domination. So there's just white and not white. Which I think in this instance, Ellaby is trying to apply that to men and not men.
Exactly. Thank you.
But it's wrong. It's incorrect.
I don't agree with it. I'm just reading.
Okay.
This is just what I'm.
No, I understand. I understand what Ellaby is saying. Ellaby is wrong. My position is that Ellaby is 100% wrong. We don't understand intersectionality. There is no way that
intersectionality entirely.
Exactly. There is no way that black men cannot have any racial power whatsoever, and there is no difference in the structure of power between racism and sexism, but then all of the sudden, black men just have all this power out of fucking nowhere, out of thin air, like Superman or some shit. And he just takes off the Clark Kent costume, and all of a sudden this nigga can just like leap buildings in a single bound, but he can't do it around white men at all whatsoever. He can only do it in his own community, even though there's no difference in power structure. The two things cannot be the same and also different. That it's just not something that can happen.
I think power is distributed. Under white supremacist patriarchy, I think power is distributed based on your proximity to whiteness. I don't think that is denying intersectionality.
Wait, okay, so then dark-skinned black men don't have any patriarchal power in the black community.
I think that there are different things about each person that places them in a different social position.
Answer this question. This is not a rhetorical question. This is just a criticism and scrutiny to your position, right?
Okay,
if there is no difference in power between racism and sexism, if there is no I'm going to explain this. If there is no difference in the structures of power between the race system of white supremacy and the sex system of patriarchy, and black men don't have any power within the race system of white supremacy, how do they then get power in their community to uphold the patriarchal system that would just also be white supremacy?
They get that power from being men.
So then they have patriarchal power.
Hey guys, really quickly, let's tap the screen. Hold on one second, guys.
No, I didn't. I said they don't have.
Hold on.
I said they. I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Guys, please, sheesh. Can we please tap the screen? Until we get to like 150K likes, I'm going sub only. Guys, we talk about this every day about being active participants in the live, and you know, it's imperative that you do so. Oh, shucks. Okay, I got a few more minutes because I have a conference call today at noon. So, I have a hard cutoff at in 20 minutes. Gotcha. Bone, you wanted to say something really quickly? Also, we only have $134 left in our goal today. There's 544 people in here. So if each of you were to a quarter of you were to send $1 to either my Cash App, which is right there, or any of my pay links in the bio, we'd meet our goal for the day. Go ahead, Bone, and then I will introduce Auntie.
Can I land real quick? Because
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. So I'm sorry.
the point here that is being made, and in my scrutinizing your position, is that there is a difference in systems, and the difference in systems uphold different power structures. Those different power structures go based upon what it is that a person is. Every person is different. Like whether you're a man, whether you're straight, whether you're whatever it could be, that you have green eyes, you have blue eyes, whatever it could possibly be. Within the white supremacist power structure and the sex system of patriarchal power structures, men in the patriarchy have power. That is black men, white men, Asian men, indigenous men, whatever it could possibly be. That is why they are able to uphold these power structures within their communities. What you essentially don't understand is that black men are trying to get the power of race supremacy through patriarchal violence that they can bestow upon someone. Because when someone is oppressed, they tend to do the things that are done to them, to the people who are below them, but they only utilize the power structures that they can possibly utilize. There is no way for black men, I mean, unless they're light skinned or something like that, there's no way for a dark skinned black man to be racist towards a dark skinned black woman. He can only be sexist, and he will do that sexism in pursuit of white power, but it is not in pursuit of patriarchal power. And that patriarchal structure within the black community puts different classes under different forms of oppression. There is not just a binary class. It can't possibly be a binary class because every black man doesn't look the same.
Go ahead, Bone, and then Auntie. Thanks, Janice. I appreciate you. Thank you, Jersey, for the $10 Cash App. I can't hear you because you're muted, bro.
I said, you know how we doing here. I defer to Auntie.
Okay, Auntie. Good morning. Have you had some water? Said something kind about yourself?
Yeah, I've been listening for a minute. This water might have 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 little splashes of Jack in it. Just on the.
It's my favorite kind.
Good morning, Sean. How are you, love? I ain't seen you in a minute, darling. How you doing?
What's up? I didn't know you were still here.
Absolutely. I just be moving in these streets a little different. You put a white woman on your profile picture, and you're allowed to sit in spaces where you would not otherwise be welcome. Because I have to protect my community. Okay. I'm so Miss Ella seems to think that I just want to clarify, baby. Miss Ella, will you restate your position just once again, please, about black folk being racist?
I didn't state that black people can be racist. I
Okay.
asked.
She thinks. Okay, so here's the two premises, if you don't mind, Ella, and if I'm wrong, correct me. The first premise was that black people can in fact be racist within the black community or to other black people, other black and brown individuals. And then the second thing is in terms of the patriarchy and the ideological framework, her adopted ideological framework of the patriarchy. There, it's binary in the sense that only white men. It's that there's only men. The only men in this framework are white men, and everybody else is a woman, or a femme presenting existence.
Okay, great. That's nice. So black people cannot be racist by definition. We can be anti-black, and to other black folk, we can be xenophobic, but we cannot be racist by definition at all. Doesn't work that way. And I saw this morning on a video. I came across a video of Cicely Tyson, and I'm gonna show this right quick, if I may. Somebody may need to put me on the bit stream so I can see this, so they can see this. And I'm glad I thought about this. Hold on, let me make sure I got the right one. I think this is it. Let me flip this. There we go. Sorry for the cash apps and all of that. I saw this morning, and Cicely Tyson said that there are 4 rungs on the ladder of society, and this is how it goes: white men on top, white women just below them, black men just below them, and black women at the bottom. And all 3 of the above had to step on us to get where they want to be.
Agreed.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we can also agree that the patriarchy is rooted in white supremacy, correct?
That is what I said.
Okay, so how then can black folk, period, male or female, how then can black people uphold the supremacy, uphold the tenet of white supremacy that is the patriarchy? How is that possible? Unless I misunderstood what you said, Jones, and I could be driving a Toyota and you in a Hyundai. Am I misunderstanding?
I think we're agreeing.
Yeah, I think y'all agree.
I'm pretty sure that we're
You're
in
muted,
agreement.
Jones.
Yeah. I know John said he had to go soon, so I'm pretty
Brother
sure.
Bone, am I misunderstanding? Sean, beloved, can you help me out? Am I misunderstanding what she's saying?
I mean, you're good to go.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're in agreement. I think the points that I made that were dissenting were just, there are some assumptions about or there are some understandings about what the consequences of what I was saying that I maybe don't see or don't agree with. But I didn't make the things that people were arguing with, I didn't make those claims. So it was like if I said this, then it must be this. And so they're arguing against the latter part, which I mean is valid because there are consequences to our beliefs.
Absolutely, there is. Here, I'm going to take this background
Your
off.
beliefs don't hold any logical consistency.
Yeah, that's the well.
You're
Yeah,
muted,
and that's what I
Joe.
said. It has.
Oh, you might be talking to somebody else. My bad.
I
You
forgot.
might be on the phone.
Well, I think that we disagree.
I forgot I was muted. I apologize. So look, this is what I wanted to explain. Okay, this is what I was trying to explain earlier. So I'm just going to use a chart because it makes it easier. And I muted myself instead of mirroring the video because you know I'm a fucking boomer. And I do that shit regularly, right?
I do understand intersectionality.
Well, here, no, I'm sure you do. I'm not arguing that you don't, and you're not the only person here. There's like 562 people here, so I think that it's important.
I think some people on the panel don't think I understand intersectionality.
What he's doing is not about you. It's about educating the audience.
I'm gonna keep it 100% real. You don't understand intersectionality because if you did, then your points would hold strong to scrutiny, and they don't. But let Jones explain the thing.
Okay. So the way that intersectionality works, and it's kind of just what it says, right? Is that what happens here is it shows you where all people exist within, you know what I'm saying, like our framework here. Race, being kind of like the paramount aspect of how our framework is established: ethnicity, gender identity, class, language, religion, ability, sexuality, mental health, age, education, body size, right? So if we took a person like me specifically, right? So in these first 2 categories, I don't sit at the top. I'm not at these outside realms. But when it comes to gender identity, right? Well, now, I'm not a marginalized individual in terms of gender identity, and I'm not necessarily marginalized in terms of class, and I speak the common language here. I don't have a religion of any kind, you know what I'm saying? So then I miss out on that structure, but I'm able-bodied. I would be considered heterosexual. My mental health, I would say, is average or on par with the rest of society. I'm not too old. I'm not what you would consider elderly. I have a vast wealth of education, and I'm of the appropriate, and I say that very carefully and with air quotes, body size. And so, like, there's only three marginalized aspects of this that I would exist in. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so that means I would sit at top of a bunch of other people of not only my same race, but other races and other individuals. And so it would be very difficult understanding how this system works. And I think there might be even better intersectional chart that I could use, so you can get a better grasp of what it is that I'm trying to. I think this one might be better. Okay, yeah, there we go. So like, where's the one that this is? Neither one of these are the ones that I typically use when I teach my classes, but I didn't see it on here, and I don't have that computer up right now. Let me see. There it is. Oh, well, there you go. See, so like these people on the very outside of this one would be the marginalized people, and these would be the people of power, right? So owns property, slim. My mental health is mostly stable, right? I'm not neurotypical, heterosexual, able-bodied. I have post-secondary education. I'm a citizen. I'm cisgender. I speak English. So for the vast majority of my intersections lie in a place of power. And this would be true for a lot of black men. Yeah, mostly stable. So, just keeping it a brick. I can self-identify when something is not okay, and I take breaks as necessary, and I maintain my mental health. But yeah, so like most of my intersections would align in a place of power, and so you can't tell me that when I exist in this place of power, that I can't be harmful to all of these other people that don't. Either ideologically or material, in terms of material conditions. And so, not being white, although it does set me outside of this place of power, it does not remove me from the culpability of harming all of these other communities. Or the ability to do so. You dig what I'm saying, Ellaby?
I agree wholeheartedly. I never argued the opposite, not once.
Yeah. So to say that, what I'm saying, within this wheel of power and privilege, right? Because I'm still a man, right? Right? Whilst most of my intersections rely in this inner circle, we can't say, oh, well, under this system, they're not a man.
Yes, no, not under this system. They are not. Under this understanding, under the wheel of power, privilege, or intersectionality, again, this is what I'm saying. Ideologically, under understanding of intersectionality, they are a man. But I was particular. I said if we separate patriarchy from white supremacist heteropatriarchy, there are men and there are not men. And
I don't know how we substantiate that, because it doesn't even function that way in any real sense.
Yes, materially it does not function that way. And so power is distributed not just based on if you're white or black, or it's based on all of those identities. So a person who is black, who is positioned particularly under white supremacy, it's not just white supremacy, that is positioning them. It's all of those other systems that is based on those identities, giving them power based on their proximity to the center of the circle. So that a person who's under all those people have power against them. We are agreeing. Like I
Thank
have
you,
agreed
Samuel
with
and
many of
Ariel.
the
I
people
appreciate
on the
you.
panel. So I don't like I get I never said that black men don't have power. And so I think like because that was stated many times as my position that that was then what was argued
Yeah,
against.
I wasn't arguing against that specifically. I wasn't. What I was saying is that um, when we're having these conversations, especially in places, right, in places and spaces where we're looking towards educating and unpacking, right, and unlearning and so on and so forth, it is dangerous. There could be like real sociological harm can be caused, right? When we infer that that there's only, you know what I'm saying, like white men and then all others within this ideological framework, it can be dangerous.
It is dangerous. Like it was
Thank you,
what you
Auntie
were.
Wigs, for the $23.
Like
W
we're not.
Auntie.
Like I'm not crazy here. Black men do not have any racial power. Thus, if the racial power structures of patriarchy and racism or white supremacy are the same, then black men also do not have any like power within the patriarchy. Like this cannot be the same thing. You cannot say that these structures are the exact same thing, but black men have power. So do black men have any racial power?
I don't think that the power is particularly racial. That it's like
What?
to me when you're saying that, it's like
Thank you
you
so
see
much,
them
Nicole.
you see them as separate. So you're saying they don't have racial power. So I see them as together. And so because they're together, there's more power than racial power. There's racial power, there's
Wait, they're the
gender
same structure.
power, there's like there if we look back at the chart, power is distributed based on all of these different identities. So if it's one system, there isn't just power based on race. There's power based on all these other things.
And that would make it different classes, which would go against your argument, but that has nothing to do with my question. My question is that the power structures are the same, and black men don't have any power in one of the power structures. If they are the same, then black men wouldn't have any power in the
Any of
other
them.
power structure that
But
is the
because
same.
because they're together, they're not separate. There's no separate racial power.
So then black men don't have any patriarchal power.
No,
You
they
know, may I please?
Yo, no,
Please.
listen.
I think power is
We're gonna have to pick
distributed.
this up later.
I don't know
got
what
it. This
else
is
I
a
to
was
say.
conference
I
call.
was getting ready to
Power
say
is
Go ahead.
distributed.
no,
It's
we have
not
to stop
just
because Jones has to go. Stop. That's what I was going to say. Can I come in because Jones has to go? The time is up. That's what I was literally going to say.
I appreciate you, fam.
Love y'all.
Love you
Have fun
too.
at your conference call.
Somebody sent me a cash app, and I want to make sure I thank them before I go.
I hope your
Fawn,
conference
thank
call
you so
is
much.
mad boring, and I
That's
hope you
fucking
struggle
rude.
to. I hope you struggle to stay away.
No. Sean has been choosing violence, and I love it. I'm here for it. She's in her villain era, so we're all gonna support
No,
that.
I go on at least once a week to Publix Live, and I just roast him for like, you know what I'm saying, like a solid minute to 2 minutes. I don't like your fucking lighting. I don't like your chair. I don't like your headphones. I don't like the
Crazy.
shirt you're wearing.
I've been in there when you
Hold
done
on.
that.
Roasting somebody's lighting is diabolical. I'm gonna start doing that.
Listen though, the lighting is bad. It's
I
No,
do.
in all fairness, he fixed it though. He fixed it.
oh, he did. Okay, all right.
My new favorite insult is that you look like somebody that types in www.google.com to
Oh
look
my.
for a Google search. That's my new favorite insult.
Oh my. Hey Jones, do your thing,
All
fam.
right, I love y'all. Hey, listen, let me turn this background off real quick.
Check your messages real quick too.
Well, I already said that shit is hilarious, yo. Bigot bangers is crazy.
I sent you something else too, though.
Oh,
right
you
after
did?
that.
All right, I'll have to
Yeah.
look at it.
All right, I'm out your hair, man.
And I sent you something too about that intersectional thing. So whenever you get a chance, nothing urgent, will you
Okay.
send me the link of your intersectionality
Oh
chart? So
yeah,
I
yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah. You want me to email it to you, Jonathan?
email or text, baby. It don't matter.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I want to do some more studying about that because
Aren't you in
I
my
like
Discord?
probably.
Yeah, I'm gonna add it to the Discord right now too.
I'm
All right.
finna say, look, don't make me operate nothing new, okay? I didn't just learn how to hit the icon. Just go slow with a sister, okay?
Okay. All right, no problem. I'll send it to you.
Brother.
All right, love you guys. Hey, check on your friends. Everybody who says they're okay is not necessarily okay. Protect your peace at all costs. Make sure that you are taking care of your mental health. If you have not yet started your therapy journey, today is an amazing opportunity for you to do so. Remember, therapy is not a fix-all. You have to actually put in the work. Eat as healthy as you can. Drink your water. Take whatever medication you're supposed to take. And as always, stay dangerous. Stay dangerous. Till next time. I'll probably see you later today. Love you guys. See you, Twitch.